Hey gamers, it's Gentle Ben, and I just wanted to talk about helicopter flying in Battlefield 2042. It feels more accessible to me, and that's coming from a Battlefield 4 player who always had to use a controller in order to fly in a helicopter properly, whether it's the attack chopper, the little bird, or even the transport chopper. I watched a video and someone made the comment that in Battlefield 2042, your mouse movements now mimic or emulate the same way a thumbstick or joystick would in positioning your yaw or your pitch while you're flying a helicopter. And once I heard that statement, it kind of clicked with me how to properly fly with mouse and keyboard. In Battlefield 4 with a mouse and keyboard, I could never properly position myself to aim and fire. I could never quickly maneuver enough to actually escape gunfire or rocket fire, or if I was being tracked by another helicopter, I couldn't ever properly use the shift or space up and down, the WASD keys to properly get the helicopter out of the way of danger. So I always relied upon my trusty Xbox 360 controller plugged into the PC. So it was kind of clumsy to go from mouse and keyboard and then quickly pick up the controller and then go back to mouse and keyboard if I had to exit the helicopter. So with that being said, I'd spent quite a lot of time in the air vehicles, and some other people have mentioned in comments in different videos that air vehicles are overpowered and they can just decimate the infantry. And while that might be true for any ace pilot, I don't think it's entirely overpowered. I spent a lot of time pitching the helicopter down from a high altitude, trying to find and locate infantry targets or even tanks and other vehicles. And you really have to be precise and hit at least 4 rockets typically to kill an infantry, because it doesn't appear that there's any splash damage on rockets at all. The spin up on, say, the miniguns, it's just enough time to where if you're coming into your target, which is like an infantry person on the ground, they can whip out an anti-air missile and lock and fire pretty quickly. And I don't know if it was a bug or not, but I would find myself hitting my flares and I was trying to dodge the rocket after it fired, because if they kept the lock, it would just spiral around your helicopter and then it would hit you anyways and do some damage. And then you were out of flares and they could immediately reload and then fire a second rocket and you would be done. So to include infantry AA jets that fly super fast at you and then do a quick lock, plus the little birds are really fast and agile and can just burn you out of the sky with a minigun, I felt like the attack chopper just doesn't feel as strong as it used to be. And I think they're trying to balance the air vehicles to make it a little more approachable, not just in a flying sense, but in a balancing sense, that they want more air-to-air combat in these very large skyboxes. And instead of just for one pilot to, get 100 kills the second they hop into a chopper, it's going to take them quite a bit of time to understand when to approach, how many rockets to fire, how to properly aim those rockets. And that way the infantry does have a moment to decide whether I'm going to take it out of the sky myself. You can try and take out the pilot if you're a good shot. or if you're just going to bail out of the area. With that being said, I was flying the Little Bird and I got stuck with the propellers on like the housing that holds the rocket after it launches, and there was some weird physics going on there. Vehicle damage when you're trying to like slowly land is also a little wonky too. Sometimes you'll just barely tap the edge of the ground and then suddenly you're down 50 HP, and you're more than likely not carrying a repair tool since you're probably bringing C4 or a rocket launcher. I don't know, I have a very mixed opinion right now on flying. I definitely prefer helicopters like usual. There is quite a difference between the intensity and like velocity, comparing that to Battlefield 4 and how they feel now. They're definitely a bit more washed down, a little bit more floaty. I don't know, sometimes it kind of feels like you're flying a marshmallow rather than like a transport vehicle equipped with rockets and miniguns. Now there's so many things to say about, okay, this is an old build, it's a beta, there's bugs in it. There's a final build that's much newer and has a lot of the things fixed. The beta felt very disconnected at times. It was somewhat intuitive, but things just were very floaty and muddy, just not very responsive. You just felt very disconnected from your actions and what your intentions were and the direction or trajectory that you want your aircraft to move into, all the while trying to anticipate what kind of movements on ground you're seeing and whether or not, you know, that's an infantry object or if it's a tree that's been knocked down. And then the weather would appear, and then visibility would become very, very difficult to see anything without getting very close to the ground. You have to get much closer, more approachable to infantry, therefore they have more of a chance to pull out of a rocket and shoot you out of the air because you're having difficulty lining up your shot and seeing who is on the ground firing and who's an enemy, because, you know, the rain and the wind and the darkness and contrast increases when there's a tornado coming in, and you can't just, you know, get to the highest altitude and then fire. So I definitely had issues with the minigun where I would think I was firing from far away at a target that was, you know, many lengths of the map away from me, but the bullet would deviate and go somewhere and you wouldn't really see any hit markers. The distance on firing the minigun, I think, was very confusing for me. So anyways, those are my thoughts right now on the way flying feels in Battlefield 2042. I had fun playing it. It was a bit buggy, a bit messy, a bit disconnected. I have plenty of recorded content from the beta, and I hope to share more thoughts with you soon. Leave some comments down below and let me know what you're thinking about Battlefield 2042. Are you keeping your pre-order? Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.